data analysis, app development, and workflow automation, I personally estimate there is probably 10 times that could be done that is not being done right now, and that's what I think AI will start enabling, just so much more. I am not a believer that anyone's job is in jeopardy at all, particularly if you're a data professional, because you can just do 5 to 10 times more. Like that is the reality, right? And if you embrace what's coming, you have no problem. You will have absolutely no issues at all.
I'm John Wright, and you're listening to Affiliate BI, the business intelligence and affiliate marketing podcast brought to you by StatsDrone. Welcome to the Affiliate BI podcast. I got a special guest here, Sam McKay. I'm going to pass it over to you, Sam, because it's like I stumbled upon your Enterprise DNA courses, and ironically enough, I'm actually spending time looking to find more courses so I can level up my skills. So pass it to you and tell us what you do.
Yeah, sounds good. So, hey everyone, I'm Sam, and I founded and currently CEO of Enterprise DNA. We've been around for a while now, about 7 years. I really kick-started things when Power BI emerged in its rejuvenated form. It had been around a little while, but then they repackaged it, remarketed it, and it was just so much better than what had gone before. And we really, for a number of years, focused on Power BI and just the advances in analytics that were occurring at the time, really showcasing how you could make a big difference within the business world by using these tools. And things have evolved a lot over time. And now we are a really dedicated online training platform for all data skills and more increasingly AI skills. Obviously, most of the listeners will know that the world has changed a lot in the last 6 months, and we're evolving too. We personally, and my team, we all believe that you can just do so much more as a data professional, and so we're super excited about that, and want to make sure that we bring a lot of others on the journey with us. Mastering these a lot of new tools and a lot of new ways of analyzing and working with data that I see coming out now, and I just think is going to accelerate into the future.
Yeah, I think with what you're talking about, I'm kind of discovering almost accidentally where, we started a stats data analytics company in affiliate marketing. And I took a course last summer focusing on Tableau. And what I saw coming from just the data viz, not even trying to here's my hypothesis. I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm just going to throw this together. And I was kind of shocked at what I found. And I'm pretty sure that, these tools, you've been watching them evolve for a long time, especially with Power BI. So I think you're right. It's there's so much to do and there's so much power, and then you throw in a chat GPT, and I've already had a sneak peek at some of your courses that have that in there.
Yeah. Well, I personally, am more like, I was very excited when Power BI came out, and I thought, okay, I was historically a very big Excel user. I was very competent in VBA coding, etc. And then I saw Power BI, and I was like, wow, this is just a big change. I'm way more excited now about the change that's occurring with these AI systems than it was even then. I just think it's truly transformational. Well, one of the beliefs I have, which is not widely talked about or accepted, is I actually think that the way we work with data is fundamentally changing. Like it's completely changing, just like a lot of other things are with this natural language interface that we have with technology. But I actually am not even convinced that Power BI is going to be the winner at the end of this, right? I think there's just going to be a lot of new tools and a lot of new ways that you can just interact with your data, have a conversation with your data. Yes, I think these big players are going to be huge, no doubt about it. But I just think there's going to be a lot more. I just think there's going to be new ways of doing things. And so, I'm just personally getting myself geared up for that. And also we're evolving ourselves as a business and as a company that creates content for data professionals, around that thesis as well.
Yeah, I've got kind of like a lot of questions, and I'm going to throw the one your way about. I think a lot of people get intimidated when they think they have to work with data, and I'm sure you've run into people all the time. I mean, this exists in all industries where you run into someone, they've got a pretty competent job or profession, but then when you kind of get a sneak peek at their skills of working with Excel or spreadsheets, and you're just wondering like, how have you been able to make it this far without having even the basics? And it's like, I just feel that these are like fundamental skills. And then of course, these are like kind of like things you build as building blocks to build on top of. So what would you say for people that want to get started where they're just kind of like deer in the headlights?
Look, I mean, one thing I would just say is it's not that hard. It's not that hard. And it's being democratized like crazy, like right now. Like there is no easier point in time for the last 20 years than there is now to learn and get into data. Once you understand a few fundamental frameworks around data literacy, what you should be looking for within data, it really is just more about tool application. Because data is data, regardless of like what industry it's in, what business function it comes from. It's a bunch of dimensions with numbers. It's all the same. I mean, I've dealt in tens of different industries with customers on advisory calls, consulting calls, training calls. It's all the same thing. There's nothing that different in data. And if you can just get familiar with some of those literacy aspects of data, what you can do with numeric columns versus what you can do with filtering and dimension columns. It really comes down to then using the tools, like getting familiar with the Power BI interface or the Tableau interface or the ClickView or the Excel. It's about getting used to the tools and how you can use them around the data. So it's really, I guess, if you're a complete novice, it's about just getting a bit of literacy, which doesn't take a huge amount. And then it's about tool application. And I just, both of those are being democratized. There's no doubt in my mind that anyone can achieve this. I actually estimated a few months ago when I was sort of reevaluating our strategy, because I was going to myself, wow, okay, ChatGPT can basically, advise anyone what I would advise them on a training call that we charge a lot of money for. But then I realized, well, there's probably actually going to be 20 times the amount of analysts now, or data professionals, because it's just being democratized so much. So, there's some sort of reassuring thoughts, I would say.
Yeah, that's a interesting insight, in regards to like, how do we make people analysts? But maybe this actually might, maybe it might leave some people in the dark where they're too scared to touch ChatGPT, but maybe it'll do the opposite where people will say, hey, I'm not an analyst, but help me get started. And I think once they realize, the power in these tools, that's when I think people get excited and go, wait a minute, maybe there's something I can do here.
I was on just to give you a bit of insight, I was on a call with a company in some executives with some analysts as well. I think it was about 15 people, and the company was from Norway, and they'd all used ChatGPT. But they said, "Have you used ChatGPT in combination with your workflow with Power BI?" And they said no. Like, I think one person put their hand out of 15. I walked them through, because I've been using it extensively myself. I walked through every part of my development cycle, like of developing a singular report. And I was able to get assistance at every step along the way. That was mind-blowing, like absolutely mind-blowing. It would advise me on how to go and connect to the data, what transformations to make, what model to build, what formulas to create, where even to place certain visualizations in my report. Like, you should not be scared of this stuff. You should be embracing it. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, and it used to be what set me apart, but I'm more than comfortable getting some assistance. I don't use it just straight copy and paste, but to help me with creativity, with inspiration, it's an incredible enhancer.
Yeah, it just even hearing about it makes me want to spend more time on it. Like, I've been, doing various data courses over the last little while, and then I'm throwing ChatGPT on it, and then I'm discovering, some of the courses you have, and I'm like, okay, there's a lot here, and I'm discovering new tools of companies that have just come out of nowhere, and they've got these things almost native. Like, I'm like, how did they get this happen? Built so quickly.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that really excites me. I just think, I mean, I've already seen examples, like maybe some of the listeners have heard of Code Interpreter, which is a ChatGPT plugin. I've seen some insane examples of where you literally are just connecting data to this thing, and you're just typing out Google-like queries to get answers on your data, get charts on your data. I mean, it's like crazy, absolutely crazy. And it's so, like, from that just that one example, and some people have access to it. I personally don't, but just from that one example, you can extrapolate that out, and you can think, wow, okay, how we interact with our data is just going to fundamentally change. I mean, we could be in a chat bot, like Microsoft Teams, for example, or we could be in in our email, maybe in Gmail, and you could maybe have a box where you just type in, okay, can you go and find this insight from my data, which is loaded into the cloud somewhere. Like, to me, that is, it's going to happen. I truly think it's going to happen sooner than we think, just based on what I've seen. It's not here right now, but I think it's going to be here pretty soon.
That's pretty exciting. And you mentioned that you've been doing enterprise DNA for 7 years, and I think you've got a background in finance. And based on what you've been doing for your career in data, especially running this business, what interest and have you seen in people getting more excited about data and taking your courses? Like, I'm what I personally seen in the last couple of years, companies that do data, maybe in the past they were seen as boring, but now they're becoming exciting and they're becoming sought after. And obviously, you've even said yourself, like the changes in Power BI as what they've done. Like, these companies have come out of, what in my mind, I would say they come out of nowhere, and now they're like giants. Like, Salesforce blasts like what $15 billion for Tableau, and you look at what Microsoft's investing in it, and these are just two companies. And I can always find more data viz tools than what we need.
Yeah. It's been a fascinating market to sort of be in. Like, yes, my background wasn't really in these tools or IT or databases before, but that's very common to most of the people that we connect with and partner with, and I do podcasts with on my own podcast. It's been such an emerging area that, yes, there's been a lot of people who've been attracted to it. One of the things I identify, I worked in a really large investment management firm, one of the largest in the world, prior to starting Enterprise DNA, and they managed a lot of money, like over $1 trillion. And they weren't that big. I was like, wow, there's just like not that many people here, considering how big the company was. And when I really thought about it deeply, the way they won was with technology. Well, the way they were doing it was with technology and with data, and with all the the market data, the internal data, the customer data. Like, they had incredible systems, and it was that sort of awakening where I was like, well, this is how you can really create a competitive advantage with data, and this is what was being enabled more so than ever with tools like Power BI. And so there was a few things that sort of combined in my own mind as to what I thought was happening, and that's why I kickstarted Enterprise DNA at that time. Finance, in reality, is just very much, it's just data, right? It's just like data flying around everywhere. It's markets, prices, it's how you build your portfolios. Like, it's all calculations, it's all logic, it's all algorithms. And so it was quite a seamless transition. I would say I didn't feel like it was like too far removed from what I was doing in the past.
Do you like, we've talked about, like, in 7 years where data has become boring to like a sexy business. What changes have you seen in the last 6 months where you've just started to launch these AI and ChatGPT courses? Like, are you seeing like another like doubling over of what's happening in your business and the interest on the course side?
Yes and no. It's hard to say. Definitely, I think there's going to be way more analysts in the future, right? But from a business perspective, it's becoming easier to learn things, right? Like, so ChatGPT is not only good at helping you with data, and I think is going to empower these new tools, but it's also helping you learn a lot easier, a lot better, right? Like, I sometimes enjoy learning just by asking the AI and getting its intelligence back, back to me. So there's new ways of learning which are popping up, and so from a training perspective, I think we've got to evolve around that as well. Just having training videos is probably not enough. You need to have some sort of AI capability, some customized learning journeys that you augment with AI as well. So we're in the midst of trying to develop all those sort of things to make sure that we provide the added value versus using some of these more inexpensive and easily accessible tools now. So that's one evolution for us that we're working on right now. But yeah, like also the other big thing for us is that so much is changing in the tools themselves. Like Power BI is going through this incredible transformation. I mean, not a lot of it is released just yet, but they had a build conference recently, and then they showed a lot of demos of like what's coming, and the whole product is changing. And so, we've also got to run in the background. We'll actually sprint to start changing our content over to all these new features and all these new ways that you're going to be able to use the tools. So there's a bit of a transition period there, I would say. And also, we're trying to get in. We believe that all data technologies are being democratized. So we've put out Python courses, data science courses, SQL courses, and we're going to continue to evolve ourselves exponentially around that as well. We might even have some Tableau courses, some ClickView, some Looker courses. We want to be the data everything platform that's in this new AI era that people come and learn from.
Yeah, I've been spending a bit of time on Looker, and it's kind of interesting that, with Google in the corner, you have a lot of people in the SEO industry or affiliate marketing where, they're just ingrained with Google Analytics 4 and Google Search Console. And they've been using Google Data Studio previously in setting up these SEO dashboards. And now that it's Looker, they're still using those same tools. So it's very interesting that Google's got their own kind of corner of the market. And I'm spending time on that just mostly because that's one way of getting connected with the SEO space.
Yeah, one of the other interesting insights that I've had recently as I've been, I've got to obviously strategize, and I quite deeply think about what disruption is occurring around me, particularly in the data space. And one of the other insights that I think is happening is that I used to think that everyone wanted one tool. You'd go to one tool and that would be it. You would migrate everything to Power BI. You'd migrate everything to Tableau. And my thinking has kind of actually evolved there a little bit, because these AIs are going to make it so easy across all these different tools. It's just going to become so easy to find insights. I think as a business, big or small, you're going to have multiple things. You're going to have multiple ways that you can go and find insights. I mean, I even know for us, like I use Google Search Console a lot. I use my Google Analytics a lot. I'm there, every day or every second day. But I also have our Power BI reports, which are connected to other data. And I just don't think you need to lock yourself into any one vendor. I think there's just many ways that you can now, and you will in the future, to find insight. The key is just to get insights. Is just to get exponentially more insights. And I think that's a strategy for anyone or any business going forward.
Yeah, I think with a lot of the major data viz tools, I mean, I think what you see with a lot of companies is they prefer to use one because either the person in charge is comfortable with that, maybe it's that Tableau or Power BI. But at the same time, I mean, these tools, when you start multiplying them across hundreds of people, they don't really become cheap. And it just seems like, I mean, everything in data science and data viz it's not cheap, but it implies that there's value there. Like the tools are expensive. And even when I look at the conferences, like these conferences I've never heard of before. And I think $2,000 for a conference price ticket is considered, on the low end side.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm amazed that some of the pricing that some of these companies get away with. But Power BI has always been the cheapest solution for sure. So I've always been a big proponent of that. They've always, I think they do it to undercut everyone for sure. That's Microsoft's like MO. But in terms of the cost to value, I've always been impressed by Microsoft's offering. You could do so much with a $10 per month subscription. Yes, it gets a bit more as you do a bigger deployment, but on the whole, even for a small business, it's a huge value add. But my feeling is that they're like getting data, like when you look at any analytics project, the visualization and the analytics side is just one piece of it, right? Like a huge part of anything is the engineering. It's the architecture of getting the data out of these raw systems and these core systems, and then getting it all into one place to then analyze it. Like that in the whole is where most of the effort actually goes in. That in reality, it's where most of the cost actually comes for any data analytics project as well. And so what I think is going to happen with these AIs, right, is that they're just going to be embedded into all these core systems, right? So you can, if you've got some sort of SaaS application or you've got some piece of software, you'll just be able to start querying the software. Like you just don't need to go and do all this engineering, and so that's kind of like what I think is going to happen, right? I just think that's it already is. It's just going to happen more and more and more as these things progress.
Okay, so this is now going to be a self-serving question where, I've got a software company that does exactly what you just described, where we help people get their data, aggregate it. And I've seen a couple of different database softwares that have these kind of prompts where you're able to kind of query and go, okay, get me this report from that data. How would you advise any company for trying to integrate this? Is this something they just basically need to play around with ChatGPT and kind of go, like, let's just experiment? Or would you say, like, maybe go find a company that's already working with that and kind of go, maybe you want to integrate with their framework?
It's an interesting question. It's such an emerging field that I don't personally have a huge amount of understanding of the underlying like IT or infrastructure required to do it. And I do have a feeling it's going to evolve so much in the next 6 months to a year, right? Because obviously, like, the reason I think this is, I've seen Code Interpreter, right? So Code Interpreter, you literally just load up a file and just start typing away. This is a ChatGPT plugin. So somehow that's being run by some sort of API. Like you eventually think you'll be able to connect to some API to be able to do this on your own platform, right? So I think that's going to change. Where things sit right now, I actually don't know. I don't know where you would go to, or how you would do it. I've seen Microsoft's Q&A feature for years now, and it's never been that good. Like, it's been okay, but your underlying structure of your model and your data just needed to be absolutely perfect for this thing to work, right?
Yeah.
But now it's getting to a point where you can give it sort of dirty data, or you can give these systems, just raw files, right? Like with no transformation, and it kind of just works it all out for you. That's what I'm saying. So I don't really know if I've answered your question that well, but I kind of feel like there's a massive evolution going on, and things are going to change quickly. So you just got to be on top of like these new things that are appearing.
Yeah, that's basically going to be my summer, is testing some of these third-party applications to go, what does this look like? And a lot of it really comes down to just exporting the data through API or throwing it in a Google Sheet and basically loading it up. And that's an easy, short-term solution. It doesn't solve maybe the, can I build something that's kind of more real-time or happening day by day? But I'll take those notes and say, I've seen both examples, and I don't even have that answer either, other than I think the only thing you can do is test and see what works best for your system.
Yeah. The to me, where from a business opportunity, or who's going to be the winners at the end of the day, it's who holds the underlying data. That is where those people are going to win. Because I think the surface layer is just going to rapidly change because of the fundamental change in how we analyze, like how the data gets analyzed. We might not have to do the analysis ourselves in a lot of cases. Like we probably will just be able to prompt raw data. And so where that data is the ones who will be able to monetize or create a competitive advantage. And so whether that's going to some data lake from Microsoft or from Snowflake or Databricks, or whether it's a SaaS application which holds all the data, sales data within the application, or the operational data, or whatever, that is where, because just you're going to be able to plug in this AI to that data, and it's just going to be able to search the whole thing and just like figure it all out for you. That's what's already, I can already see in a lot of these demos that are occurring. So that to me is where you probably want to be. Probably want to be in the stack.
I've got another question on becoming a data analyst. I took a course last summer on data visualization and storytelling with data, and I felt the one thing I think it's kind of maybe difficult to kind of teach and train people is how to become a good analyst. So we have courses, we can learn how to use all the tools, but I think it's trying to understand that, what are you looking at, or maybe having more skills as an analyst to actually be like, I think I can find something if I go over here. So how would you kind of, build a roadmap for people to not only become a data analyst, but become a good one? I just feel that maybe this is one of the more lacking skills. Like, we can all learn the tools, but I think to become a good data analyst, I think that could be the big game changer for, whether it's your company or working for another company. I just feel that, anytime you look at data, like especially in my case in affiliate marketing, I found a lot of like crazy things where I'm like, I believe I looked at my own affiliate marketing data and found holes where I've lost money by not optimizing things. And it wasn't until I threw all that data in a data viz report and kind of had a mindset of knowing what I wanted to look for, that, those things just kind of came to light.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a good one. What I think I find with most who are just starting out or wanting to get into this area, it's actually just knowing what you can do. I mean, this is the same with like lots of skills, right? But particularly with data analytics or data science, so same thing, right? It's more so just not having the creativity to know what you can go and do, and so like one of the great things that you can do is you just dive into some reports that you can find out there online, dive into some data science analysis that you can find on Kaggle, or you can find on various different platforms, or read blogs that talk through the analysis that you can do. Try and build up a catalog of things that you can analyze based on any data, right? Like, as I said earlier, data is just either sort of numeric fields or dimensions that you can use as filters for calculations you can do on the numeric fields, right? Like that is purely what you do as a data analyst. And so just having understanding that you can do basket analysis, that you can do forecasting, that you can do all of these various different categories of analysis, just having a really good mind map within your mind, that will give you a lot of good direction on what to focus on next, right? And that will give you that creativity. So that's one part. And then you've got to have some sort of tool application, like you got to have some tool knowledge so that you can go and apply these things and you can build good quality output. So it's really two-pronged. I think that first stage where you build up that creative mind as a data person, and then it's about the implementation, the tools that you can that you need to learn to be able to bring it to life.
Yeah, I think that really comes down to case studies. And then I'm going to go back to stories, which is kind of like my next question, which is what's some of the coolest stories you found from analyzing data where something just, came out when you're looking at it, you're like, oh my God, this is an amazing insight. Like, this is valuable.
Heaps, a lot, actually, a lot. I'll probably do, because I work with a lot of demo data, so particularly when I'm doing trainings and things like that. So I'll just think about like our own business, right? So my enterprise DNA, we do a lot of analysis on our own business, right? We sell subscriptions to our platform, and we're doing cohort, like we're a relatively small business, right? Like, we're doing cohort analysis, we're doing customer, like yield per customer, lifetime value per customer. We're looking at all of our churn metrics. We're having a look at what our results were this month versus last month versus last year. All of these things, and we're doing it relatively seamlessly, honestly. Like, it's not that difficult. Yes, okay, I approach things with sort of a data mindset in a lot of cases, but just the ability to be able to do a lot of this at scale, even as a smallish business, is empowering. It can really make a difference. I'm out there with everyone we talk to, showing and telling them how much of a difference data can make, and we definitely put it into practice. Like, we're also analyzing our website traffic. We're analyzing all of our Google metrics, our SEO metrics, We're analyzing all of our click-through rates on our ads. Like we're analyzing, so much. And if you think about like even 10 years ago, how much you could do. I mean, you could only do probably like a fifth of that, if that. And I just think it's getting better and better. It's getting better and better, as we've discussed now. Like it's just becoming even more democratized, which lowers the barriers to entry for anyone, in my opinion.
And what you just described there is almost like one of the biggest problems facing all SaaS companies, where I work with a lot of different people in the SaaS space, especially people that kind of coach SaaS companies. And they say one of the biggest things that these SaaS companies don't always do is they don't understand their data. So they don't understand their churn rate, the conversion rate on different parts of their website. And it's all those things that you mentioned. There's literally software companies that they're trying to either automate or standardize that. I don't think it's easy, but I think a lot of these SaaS companies, they just kind of don't know where to start. And it's one of many problems they have on their plate and going, when am I going to have the time to do it? And then how am I going to get up to speed in doing it? It's probably one of the most valuable things they need to do. But I'm starting to read articles that suggest that companies that are successful, they do this, and they either do it or do it well. And ones that become part of the SaaS graveyard, that's part of their failure is not being able to answer those questions.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, you just look at the big companies that absolutely, like the big tech companies that are crushing it: Netflix, Amazon, Microsoft. I mean, these guys are just pros at using data to grow. Google, just like all the tests. And I was even talking to someone the other day. Expedia do 1,000 tests a day, and they analyze the data on that or something. Like it's just, this is how you win, particularly online, where the competition is huge, right? Like it's small margins, and having some sort of data expertise it can be the difference. It honestly can. But like I get it. It's hard. It's hard to put your mental energy into it. It's hard to execute. It's one of 20 things that you're managing as a business and trying to grow. So it's not easier. But I definitely think it's going to get easier, which is very good, as we've chatted about. But it can make a difference. Like I'll give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, we had quite a low week in sales, and we were running around going, why is this? We looked at our promo page. We analyzed the conversion rate on our promo page. It was way down on what it was historically. Changed it around. Sales went back to normal, slightly above average the next week. And so little things like that, right? They can honestly make a pretty big difference when you do them in aggregate of lots of other things with lots of other things.
Yeah, and in the affiliate marketing space, which is what I've been living and breathing for 20 years, like I just kind of look at where we are, because I started off in the online gaming space, and then now I'm going to all different industries in affiliate marketing, and I'm just kind of shocked at how some of these companies make so much money and don't actually spend a lot of time on the data side. And so just to put it into perspective, there's a lot of companies that maybe the top 10% have like a BI department where they have not only a budget, but people that are trained. And there's just a lot of affiliates and operators that have an affiliate program, and they don't really seem to have an understanding of a lot of these kind of core tools. So we have like the tools on the side, like Power BI, but there's just like in affiliate marketing, there's every tool you could imagine, in my mind, is a BI tool. Like Google Analytics and Google Search Console, these are data tools. Ahrefs, SEMrush, no problem. Conversion rate optimization, like A/B split testing and using heat maps. I mean, you're just going to get so much more data there. And what I'm noticing is that there's a lot of companies that you can look at their source code and realize who's using what tool. Like, can I find all the companies using Hotjar? And when I do these studies, I don't find a lot of that happening. What I'm discovering in affiliate marketing are the different types of tracking links you can get. And there's certain types that are more advanced, like dynamic variable tracking links and postbacks. So these links actually can look a lot different, and they act as signatures. So if you actually find the top ranked websites, you can actually almost rank them and go, who's more advanced? Because this data actually gives you even more insights as to where that sale came from, what part of your page, and you get to cross-reference it with which country. And a lot of this data is not always readily available in affiliate programs. And I just think the affiliate marketing industry has so much room to grow. Like just in affiliate program software, When I mentioned the data viz course I took, it was with Kevin Hartman, and I showed him a bunch of the different types of backends that I would work in affiliate marketing. Some of the biggest companies that have lots of money, and I said, "Are you seeing what I'm seeing now that I've taken your course and I have a better understanding of what a good dashboard looks like and the right data viz you can present?" And he just said, "There's so much room to fix here." And
yeah, oh, totally. Well, you know, I was dwelling on this the other day, but between data analysis, app development, and workflow automation, I personally estimate there is probably 10 times that could be done that is not being done right now, you know, and that's what I think AI will start enabling, just so much more. I am not a believer that anyone's job is in jeopardy at all, particularly if you're a data professional, because you can just do 5 to 10 times more. Like that is the reality, right? And you know, if you embrace what's coming, you have no problem. You will have absolutely no issues at all. And yeah, you know, like I think that there is just so much more that can be done. You know, there's so much more. So, like, even being a Power BI, like someone who really talks it up, it's still quite hard. Like, it's not super easy. It is. You can get to a certain point, but to make it really compelling, to create amazing visualizations, you know, to make sure that you build everything in a best practice way, there's still a little bit to it, right? It's not the tool for every person in the world. So, you know, that becoming easier is just going to make all that other stuff easier. You know, like the tools we use and the way we connect to data and work with it. As that becomes easier, we're going to be able to do a lot more. It's going to bring a lot more people into the field. A lot more people feel empowered. You know, so all of that is, to me, really, really positive.
Yeah, I think aside from you know, the popularity from like your own set of courses, like I'm part of a program that works with the, you know, universities in mostly Canada, and this program is available in Canada and the States, and there's many of these programs. And basically, I can post these internship job posts, and I have one for SEO, sales. I've got a couple other ones, and then I have one on data analytics, and this one just gets flooded. It is just constant applications. I'm like, I don't even have time to check these because it's just too many applications. I have professors that are like, "Do you please have a project?" Like, they really want a project to work on and, you know, train their students. So it's that's interesting.
Well, question for you. How is a, you know, because I agree. I see that everywhere, and you know, as we've chatted about, I think it's just going to be even bigger. You know, there's going to be a bigger movement towards this area. How do we as a business leverage that and find more of these customers quicker and earlier on in their journey?
That's a good question, and I almost want to answer that by saying, you know, let's send them to your courses, because I mean, the demand for people that want to get educated in data analysts, data analytics, business intelligence, I mean, it's just going through the roof right now, and they're trying to get their hands on any course they can find. I mean, they'll go straight to YouTube, but these courses, they're basically, a lot of them are post-secondary education, like college or university. Some of them are very short, like you know, 6 weeks. It's just the demands there. And the reason why I wanted to even start this podcast in the first place was I believe that the affiliate marketing industry is not as advanced as it could be. And what you said previously about, you know, you believe that things could be multiplied by a factor of 10, whether you're exaggerating or maybe you're at like a 6, I firmly believe that affiliate marketing could double over in a shorter period of time, where when you start looking at industries like business intelligence, like I think I saw something that said it's worth around 30 billion right now. And it's got, you know, you go to Statistica and you've got the projections of how much it's going to grow. I think business intelligence is going to touch so many things. Like, you apply business intelligence and have it intersect an affiliate marketing industry that's worth around 20 billion. And I just believe that this aspect of BI is going to amplify this. And this is just only one example. I mean, the fact that we can actually build better tools for affiliate marketers such that they can analyze their data. Like, I'll give you my data story from last summer when I took that data viz course. I started plotting clicks versus revenue, which were campaigns, tracking links. I had one tracking link that sent users to the exact same offer, but the offer was a different landing page. They're visually slightly different, but they had the same offer. One converted by a factor of 5, and it had enough clicks that I'm pretty confident that I did not need to wait 2 years to realize that I lost $30,000 to $40,000. I probably could have reacted in a span of maybe 2 months of data being, that's plenty of data for me to know that the confidence rate of this data being accurate is there. And that blew me away of just looking at my data. It was like first crying a little bit, and then after it's going, this is what we're doing as a company. Like, we're building these tools. And what I got excited about, even wanting to set up this podcast, was to kind of shed a light on all the different things, how there's different tools or courses that can all come back to affiliate marketing. And these are just, they're massive industries on their own. But I mean, when we look at just the bubble of business intelligence, it's touching everything. It's touching logistics, it's touching shopping. I mean, it's e-commerce, it's education, it's probably like, even health, personal wellness, finance. I mean, we basically just list everything, and it's going to have an application, and not just an application. We're probably going to have better models of how much we believe things are going to improve by.
Yeah. I mean, all really good thoughts and points. I don't believe that the 10 times is an exaggeration. When you put it into the analysis you could do, the apps you could build, and the automations that you could build off the back of a lot of this, because you've got to remember that data has been exponentially growing. Just the amount of data that you have as a business. Like we're an online business. We're not a big company by any means, right? We're just a small to medium sized business. But I just think about the data that we churn out, that we don't really have, and like we don't have that much analytics around. Like at the moment, I don't know exactly. The data's probably somewhere, or maybe it is, or maybe it isn't. I don't know exactly what each individual user is doing on our platform at each time they come to the platform, right? I have a little bit of an idea based on some events that we track, but not a full idea. And just think about it. Think about how much more we could know if we could drill down into that individual person. Then we could customize and automate all of the messaging and the learning plan for that individual person. So I actually don't think it's that big an exaggeration when you factor in all those different categories. Like, it probably is an underestimating it, because you just think across this for every business: healthcare, entertainment, finance, just totally customized to you as a person. Think about, as a business servicing all of these customers, you want to get down to that level, right? Like that's going to make you the most money, but also add the most value to your customers. Like, to me, that's where things are going. Like, there's just no doubt about it. So it doesn't feel that too far removed from reality, that sort of estimation.
Yeah, I forget what the term for that is. I don't know if it's like micro personalization, but it's something to do with like personalization with marketing. And I think you're right. I mean, the data itself speaks for itself. Like, when you're able to personalize on any type of level, you rarely have someone say, yeah, that didn't work out. Actually was a step back. It's that aspect of business on its own. I mean, I could apply that all day long in my business and that's one of, many, data studies or tests I'm going to start doing. And it's like, where do you stop? You just keep going until you keep finding these holes to fill. And maybe rather than holes to fill, they're basically, incrementally amplifying your business. Yeah.
I mean, where we want to go, and I sort of made this announcement a few months back. I said, I want to infuse AI into all parts of the data learning experience. And so it doesn't happen overnight, but I would love to get to a point where someone signs up to our platform and we are tracking them learning we build a plan based on their own goals, based on their own outcomes, their time frames, and then we help them get there with personalized AI messaging and AI learning to that individual through time. Through if they take a course, we send them an email saying, well done, here's a recommendation, here's what you learned. Here's what we think based on the quiz, the test that you took, the answers you didn't get right. Here's what you should focus on. Just total personalization. Like that's where I want to definitely take things. That's our ambition. But yeah, it certainly doesn't happen like with a click of the fingers. There's a strong, there's a timely evolution to make that actually happen.
Yeah, and I think there's actually more companies that are building elements of that. I know with companies like Hotjar, they do recordings of your users, but I think they've got a feature where they can actually hide sensitive data. So in our app, we have sensitive data that we don't want to see, but we definitely want to know what our users are doing and the habits. And again, there's just like another rabbit hole of going, well, how do you make using the app more habitual, where it becomes like habit developing. And once you're able to achieve it, one, you get success with your user, but then you're kind of like, well, what does it look like to actually build a habit journey, and the whole gamification. And I think we'll have tools. So whether you build them in-house, if you don't, I'm pretty sure in the next 6 months you're at least going to find one company that will do a lot of these things for you.
Yeah, well, a lot of this has just really been the capabilities of the big firms, hasn't it? Like Netflix already kind of does this. YouTube already kind of does it. Like I get emails from Netflix every second day saying, "Oh, you didn't finish this video. Here's a recommendation based on the last two shows that you watched." Like, so they're already doing it, but hopefully there's just going to be a continued democratization of that for all companies and all businesses. So it's going to take internal investment and innovation, but also hopefully there'll be external things that you can plug into that can help supercharge it.
I'm going to wrap this up with a question that I like to ask everyone, which is, you've already touched on it, and I know you have an affiliate program with your site. So what do you see as the future of affiliate marketing as it intersects business intelligence?
It's a good one. One thing we've gone through a few iterations with our affiliate marketing. Our latest iteration is by far the best. We've got a really good setup and a really good a lot of good automations and a good way to build a really solid network and build relationships around affiliates specifically. So we're in a much better place than we ever have been there. But what I think? I think that personal recommendations and strategic affiliate program are becoming more important, like almost far more important, right? And I would put in sort of like influencer relationship. I mean, it's basically the same thing, right? Like, other people recommending you. If you have a look at what's happening to some of like Google and Bing and like some of these other tools where you traditionally have got a lot of traffic, some of that might be in jeopardy. Like, there's a lot up in the air there, isn't there? Like, who knows how much search traffic is going to be through generative AI? Like, it's just going to get things through what the AIs put out, right? So having that personal recommendation, I just think is probably getting way more important as a way to acquire customers than it ever has before. So I don't know. What do you think?
That's an interesting answer, and I'm actually going to send that answer to another guest that I had, who Alan Stone from Intellytics, and I asked him a similar question of like, can you do like an attribution model where you put a basic field. So in the B2B space, there's a lot of talk in the B2B marketing world about having self-attribution, where self-attribution is kind of like, well, what is someone going to write in that field? They're going to be, how did I find you? Well, my friend Melissa sent me a referral. It's like, okay, well, what does that look like in data? Alan believed that, it was kind of tough to do that across millions. Like, if you're processing like millions of sales per day, then it gets kind of difficult. But I think with what you're saying is that, and this is what I believe to be true as well, is that even if you have a lot of raw data, you're still going to be able to find a way to put it through a machine and go, take this data and put some insights on it. So I think with affiliate marketing, the mindset for most people is that personalization doesn't exist because we're doing this all on scale. And I think what you're saying, I actually believe there's a lot of truth in it, where, we can't always cater to the one-on-one, with like a person to person. But I think having that mentality of going, well, what would it look like if we were to do it, whether it's automated or anything, doesn't really matter. I think self-attribution is kind of one small stepping stone, where it's like, how did you find us? We have a last click attribution model as being the common thing, where even Google's trying to force this down everyone's throat, where it's like, no, it's the last click. But the last click is blind, because when people go and type in enterprise DNA, for example, you're discovering that they came from Google. But the reason why they might have come from Google is because they might have heard you on a podcast and they're like, I got to research them again. So you're getting an exact match, but if you don't do that self-attribution, you've lost the real plot of how did this work? And maybe it's your podcast that's actually driving the most value. And it's really hard to give that proper attribution. I think you're actually onto something where, I think the way of personalization and kind of cross-referencing with an attribution is a way of kind of blending things where we've got our data in a big box. So that gives us our flat insights. But I think when you just look at flat insights, you're missing out on something else. Where, for example, if you just look at all the products and services you can get a referral from, well, maybe the user went on a blog and they clicked on the link, but the sale really happened because they've already seen that with their friends, like on Facebook. Yeah. And it's really hard to pull this data out. But I think once you're able to get a personalization in place, it's like, I think there's going to be, lots of ways of iterating this and finding things that we just can't think are possible today.
Yeah, well, I just think you ran through a perfect example of why I think there's so much that can be done that is just not being done right now, and that sort of point I made earlier. But I'm a big believer that sort of like as we go down this road where so much of what we see and see and read is like AI generated, it's just going to get more and more and more. That personal recommendation from an affiliate, that personal review by an influencer, like you got to think that that's going to become more valuable, isn't it? Are people truly going to buy because some generative AI types something out like from a Google search? I don't think so. It's not going to be as valuable as like having some going on some podcast and talking about your value add. Having someone recommend how much it helped improve their life or made them more money. So that sort of comes back to why I think as an affiliate program, just in general, and building those relationships with people who are aligned to you and are good partners and can really promote your product is going to become more important. It is important now. It's going to become more important as we go forward.
And maybe companies will start paying attention to that as well, rather than saying, okay, let's just throw everything on the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah, look, it's hard to know before you do anything what works or not. I mean, personally, I've done that in the past where we've done a lot of everything, and we've just refined as we've gone. But yeah, no, look, I think you learn, you evolve, you iterate, and think the market changes. Things in how you can succeed as a business that they change over time, and you got to adjust. And so, yeah, that's I guess my sort of view on it right now, and it might change, but that's from thinking about it quite deeply about how it affects us and how we need to position ourselves within the new environment.
Sam, I want to thank you so much for doing this. I'm pretty excited about looking at the homework I'm going to do this summer of just basically spending more time taking data courses. So I've already signed up. I want to pass it back to you and just say, how can people find you or get a hold of you? And just one more plug to talk about Enterprise DNA.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, you can find me on LinkedIn, Twitter. Just type in my name, and also you'll find me within the Enterprise DNA platform on our community forum. I'll be creating a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of courses on our platform as well. So it's just enterprisedna.co, and I'm keen to get you in the mix, and adding value if this is the space and the area that you want to focus your time on.
Big time. Thank you so much. And I'm going to put all those details in the show notes. Thank you so much.
Thanks, John.
Thank you for tuning in to the Affiliate BI podcast. I'd like to take this time to ask for a small favor to leave a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast. That helps us expand our reach to rank higher in podcast directories and reach more listeners.